Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Agritech Founders Diary, a, a podcast where we that's powered by Agritech Digest. I'm your host, Kenneth Obayuana, and today we are celebrating a milestone. It's episode 50. I mean, when I cast my mind back to 2 years ago when we started the podcast, I didn't believe we'd still be here hosting a podcast. It's been a lot of journey for us, a lot of challenges as well for us. Of course, in our next episode, we'll be discussing some of the challenges we've been through and how we've also go some go to experience we've recorded since we launched this podcast and what the future holds for us. But for today, I'm having some amazing guests joining us in the studio today. I'm going to give them time to talk about themselves. I'm having Mr. Ifeanyi joining us in the studio, and I'm having Miss Elo joining me in the studio. I'm going to give them time to to get to meet with them a bit more better. However, before we do that, once again, I want to officially welcome our audience to today's podcast. I mean, it's 50 conversation with founders, operators, investors, researchers, ecosystem builders across Africa agricultural sector. It's really a milestone for us. Looking at where we started from, the goal was simple. We wanted to create a space for honest conversations around the agri, 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 agritech ecosystem space. And looking back to see that 3 years down the line, we've achieved it. We've not given up. We've not quit. It's really amazing to me. But without wasting time, I'd like to meet with our first guest, which is um, Miss Elo. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you are into. Let's take it up from there.
Thank you so much for the introduction and congratulations on the 50th anniversary on your conversation later lessons. This is just the
Mhm.
beginning, and I
Thank
wish you
you.
growth and more growth in the future. So my name is Elohor Rita Biaroma. The Chief Product Officer, co-founder here at CubeSeed Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So what we
Mm-hmm.
do is we call ourselves a value chain, a livestock value chain, where we are
Mm-hmm.
connecting both farmers and buyers together. When I mean farmers, livestock farmers, protein farmers, and pork buyers together. So I would not say it's just about connecting them. I would say it's more about providing a system where they can trust each other, bridging that gap of trust, because we all know that the agricultural trade today is kind of informal. And we have the
Yeah.
middlemen, we have the farmers calling and saying this, they don't trust the buyer. Then we have the middlemen getting involved to like bridge that trust. And with that, we have issues with floating prices, we have issues with accessing agricultural supplies, and so many other things. And agriculture has never been about production, it has always been about supply. How the end users get the actual produce and how the farmers
Yeah.
get how to go back into the farm to make this production happen. So that's where CubeSys stands today. We are providing a market where bulk buyers and farmers can connect with each other. We're also providing a platform where there is a capital, a platform where both users can gain access to capital for them to grow in their businesses. So for farmers, they get access to input financing, and for buyers, bulk buyers, they get access to capital for them purchase this produce on our platform. So that is where CubeSys stands today. Thank you.
Great, great, great. We have other fantastic other amazing guests joining us in the studio today. It's not that person than Mr. Ifeanyi. So, Mr. Ifeanyi, it's good to have you in the studio today. I would like you to take us in just 1 minute or two. Tell us some amazing stuff about yourself and what you are into as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Um, I am the founder of Farm Easy and also
Mm-hmm.
lead consultant at IFS Global Agri Solution.
Yeah.
IFS Global Agri Solution is the mother company. It's a consulting firm. We're into farm management, farm setup. We're into structuring of businesses, agribusinesses. We're into procurement of farm equipment and machineries. We're also into contracts, government contracts. And we gave birth to Farm Easy, which is a farm management and market app. Um, we noticed that a lot of farmers always ask for finance, always ask for market. And then we had to dig deeper to find out what the issues were. For the market, it's mainly about traceability and, also about publicity. Can they put it out there aside the regular market? That's the normal physical market. So that is how we created Farm Easy for the e-market. But for the farm management, we noticed they need access to finance. And one of the challenges for access to finance is usually data, record keeping. Most of them don't have proper record keeping. You ask them for data of what they've been doing all through the year. For those who are into livestock, you can't even trace when they bought the animal or poultry, or how they groomed it, how much they spent. Most of the things are off their head. And the ones who try to take records on paper. And for those who are in crops, same thing. And they still want finance, but they can't access this finance. So we created this app, this software, so that they can be able to have a proper place where they can take proper records and be able to print it out whenever they want to go to access this finance from developmental financial institutions or any bank, microfinance, or any financial or even investor, because nobody wants to put money where they can't trace your work. Everybody wants to invest, wants to know what you are doing and what your results are. So that is the thing, the reason why we created Farm Easy. And we went ahead to also, yes, to also engage farmers in sensitization and letting them know the importance of this tool.
Okay, amazing. So over the last 50 years that we've been recording this episode, we've noticed that one of the most important lessons for me as the host of this program is that execution is key. From both of your experience, okay, first of all, let me talk with Rita first. What's been your experience? What's been like your biggest challenges in the industry so far since you came to the industry?
So for me, I think the most biggest challenges is not understanding. How will I describe it? I think getting into the market early for an agri-tech firm. Once you're not in the market early, it's you have little understanding of what is happening. You think you're building something to solve farmers' problems, or everything you're building is just an assumption. It is you thinking that is what the farmers need, but you're not. What do the farmers actually need? So even if you go back and say you want to study, you strategize, you work with your team, you work with a few farmers, you work with a few buyers, and you get their user stories, and you go back to
What is
to to build your product. There's a difference between that and getting into the market early. Because after building your product, you get to see things that you've actually taken down as a user story. You build a product, but most of at the farm will the farmers be able to adapt to this product? So I always say that agricultural is tech enabled. Anything that has to do with agri-tech is tech enabled. This is not tech itself. So one of the things I think most founders make in terms of building agricultural products, which I think us to realize it, is ensuring that we think that the farmers can immediately think that they are tech savvy, build something and expect them to adapt. Agri-tech don't work that way. So you can only get that by getting into the market early and finding these challenges and you going back to ensure that you are building the right products and you are building the right product for the right people, which are the farmers, which are the bulk buyers, most especially the farmers. So I think
Hmm.
that was what our basic. I'll say that that's one of the basic challenges in building an agri-tech product, and in terms of execution strategy, that's like has been like the major challenge. Getting into the market early, you need to get into the market early. You need to put your product out there and stop riding on assumption. Stop riding on user stories. Stop riding on this is what they want, but is that actually what they want? Can they adapt to the product you're building for them? So that's one of the things I've learned, and I think that's one of been our biggest challenges here.
Okay, still on Rita. All right. From your experience, what separates organizations that successfully execute from those that remain stuck in planning mode?
Like I said, if you're just thinking strategy, you're just thinking you're in your room, you're in your co-founders, you're thinking for the farmers, that's not going to work. So if you're stuck in that aspect, that's not going to. Sorry,
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
apologies.
Okay, go on.
Okay, like I said earlier on, if you're stuck in that assumption, it is not going to work. You need to have your you need to pass through the phase of assumption to start getting to the phase of reality. And the phase of reality is where we have you having to now get these people use your product. Then you have to now see that, okay, are you serving them the right product? Are you giving them the right tool? Are you helping them,
Yeah.
or you are just bringing them into a community of them to come and try their luck? So most of all this agri-tech, I wouldn't say everyone, but one of the biggest challenges I've realized as a chief product officer here at Cubestate is that we built the product. We thought the product was going to be like immediately the farmers are going to accept the product based on, oh, you've spoken to the farmers, these are their challenges, and you think that, okay, I'm telling you, oh, because you can't access loan, you don't have access to direct markets, you're going to have them on board on your platform. No, it's not going to work that way. It's going to work when you finally give them the product and you see little challenges. You see, okay, maybe you have some restrictions, some compliance issue that might not even fit into the market that you're going into. So you have all those challenges, and this is where a lot of founders get stuck because they are not in that space where they can actually assess, do the market intelligence, and understand, is their product actually in the market and solving the actual problem. It could go into the market and solve the actual problem, but are people adapting into the product? That is the problem. Do we have farmers adapting into this product? That is the problem. We've said that it's going to solve your problem. You've told us that these products are going to solve your problem. But when you bring the product to you, can you easily adapt into using the product? So that's where a lot of founders get stuck. Imagine that, oh, I've built a great product. My product can provide financing. My product can provide this to the farmers. But are the farmers actually ready to pick up that product and use it? And what are the challenges they are facing in terms of them picking it up to use it? So those are things that we founders need to go back and understand the market, understand the early market access when building product and not get stuck into assumptions and realities.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that. So now let me still on almost similar questions, but I want to hear your thought from that's Mr. Ifeanyi, from the investment side, right? How often does strong execution matters more than a great idea when evaluating an agri business?
Sorry, I didn't get that. The network.
Okay, I mean, so I said from the investment side, how often does strong execution matters more than a great idea when evaluating agri businesses?
Okay, a great idea is just an idea. It's in your head.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you execute. That is when it becomes a product, an MVP, and then you fine tune it as you move on. So execution is very, very important than just having a great idea, because in execution you have idea, you have discipline, you have velocity, and then you have the resistance. So you having the idea is just you having maybe clarity of vision of what you
Mm-hmm.
want to do, the
Mm-hmm.
solution you want to provide. That is just one part of it. That means you now have to start to put in discipline, put in the work, start to turn it into a product, a tool that people can actually use. And then you add velocity to it. But then I also want to, talk about this execution. Most times we just create the solution and then we just say farmers. We do not actually, distinguish who this product is for exactly. And I'm going to use ourselves, for example. When Farm Easy started,
Mhm.
we just said farmers. And we noticed something. We were just having random people try it out and all that. But after a few lessons, we started to switch it. We now told you it is for poultry, livestock, aquaculture, and crop farmers. That's where we've been able to establish our ideal customer profile. So if you are somebody who is into processing and all, you don't necessarily need to look into the app, except the market part of it if you want to use the market part, of which for now we are focusing on the management tool because the main people we want to get the benefits are the livestock, the poultry, the crop, and the aquaculture farmers. The market part of it, we're still having a lot of work going on because having the product is one thing, and the moment you execute, you are able to now fine tune. So in execution, have your ideal customer profile, know the people who you are targeting, and put in the work. And another thing is in execution, understand anyone who is building an agri-tech solution should understand that in as much as it's a software, it's an app, it's a technology, you're directing it to somebody, you're directing it to some people, either the producers, the processors, or any other person in the value chain. So make sure that you understand that there is the office part, which is your app or your tool, and there is the field part. When we started Farm Easy, we were just focusing on the app and feeling like everybody will adopt it. But at a point, we understood that we need to go to the field. And that was how we started the Farm Easy Growth Accelerator program, whereby we now get to engage these people that we have mentioned, the poultry, aquaculture, livestock, and crop farmers. We now engage them in a training. The reason for this is because we're trying to make sure that those who are early adopters get to see the value, because what farmers want to know is value. They are not like the regular people. Maybe you create a fintech solution and you just expect everybody to use it. No, they want to see value. They want to know, what will I benefit from this? Because they are already having a lot of challenges in production. So if you're not bringing value to their table, you are not speaking any language they want to understand. The only people who have some extra advantage that whenever they call farmers, they get to answer is only people in finance, because almost all farmers want money. So if you're building any solution, make sure to know who you are building it for. Identify. No need to, say it's for everybody. No. Mention one, two persons that it is for. Know that target people. Focus on them. Even when we mention that it is for poultry, for livestock, for aquaculture, and for crop farmers, we still have to narrow it down. Currently now, our focus is on poultry farmers. We want to first of all make sure
Okay.
that we give value to poultry farmers, and then gradually we transcend to other people. So that is my own point when it comes to execution.
That's
Identify your customer and make sure that you are tweaking and you are fine-tuning your product. Also remember that there is the office and there is the field.
mm, that's make a lot of sense to me. I mean, but how has been adoption for you so far? I mean, since you started doing this training, since you started doing this, you started engaging them in the field. How has been adoption for you? Like, what's been like in terms of, if you're going to give a statistics, what's been the adoption rate so far?
Okay, at this moment, we are having a little bit of challenge in terms of adoption because,
Mhm.
like I said, it's value. So, what I'm giving actually are our own business secrets, but it's for somebody
Yes,
out there to also adopt and
yes,
use. Yes, what we're
yes.
doing right now is that we are focusing on success stories. We have a few early adopters, and we now make sure that we focus on those people. We are not really looking at how many persons we have. What we are looking at is those people who are using us, because a few persons have written to us and are giving us feedback that they love it, they are enjoying it. So we are not excited in just having those people. We are now focused on those people. We are making sure we craft out a success story out of those people. Because if we're able to get a success story from those people that now, relates with other farmers in the industry, it will now be easy for people to easily adopt it. Because, like I said, I've seen a lot of agri-tech solutions, and they end up coming back to the field and keeping the agri-tech solution. So for us, we have understood that there is a field part of it and there is the tech part of it, and we're trying to merge both. But what we're doing in our we have currently now we have about 100 users in terms of general who people who are using it, but we have about 10 persons whom we are focused on. We are making sure we are working closely, we are monitoring, we are evaluating them, we are guiding them, we are giving them business structuring support, making sure we give them trainings. A lot of things is happening behind the scene. And the reason being that we want to make sure we crack out success stories from these people. We are not about just large numbers because we believe it's not a fintech. We believe it's an
Yes.
agri-tech solution. Yeah, so it's
Yes.
value. So we are
Yeah.
more focused on the people who are seeing that value, and we are making sure they get the best out of it. Because at the end of all this, the back end of it is that those people who are very serious using this app will now have access to investment, access to finance. And for us at Farm Easy, we are also working behind the scenes to build our own venture capital, because we look at investing
Mm.
in these farmers. By the time they adopt this and we see their growth, we see their success, we are now going to use our own finance and invest in them, as well as looking out for other, financial support for them to be able to grow. Because, like I said, the most important thing is record keeping. If you can't trace whatever that farmer is doing, nobody wants to give them money, and that's why we see a lot of shortage when it comes to financial support to farmers. You don't hear about that. Everybody is complaining money, 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 but nobody wants to
Mm.
invest where they can trace their money. They want to know, if I put in, what am I getting back? How does the money flow? And how do I make sure I get my return on investment?
Mm. Amazing. I mean, this is good. I asked about adoption because most times people come on the show and will ask us your biggest challenges. The things we hear is that I do hear is that finance is like the biggest challenges everybody's facing. Adoption is another biggest challenge people are also facing. Communicating what we are trying to do to farmers, getting the farmers to accept it is a different ballgame for a lot of people. Hence the reason why I was dwelling on adoptions. Hence the reason I asked that question. Okay, but moving
Yeah.
forward, it's still same questions, almost very similar questions. Because I mean, there's a whole lot of around adoptions. People also think farmers are not learned enough, and they're not they're not used to this some of this technology. And that's what I used to say to agri-tech startups to say, when you build an agri-tech product, it's quite different from when you build a tech product because of the people you are bidding for. The farmers are looking for values. They're not interested in flashy. No, they're not interested in anything flashy. They're not interested in anything techish stuff. They just want to see what can give them value. Can this thing you are bringing, can it move us? Can it increase any speed? Can it cause some speed? Can it increase our profitability? Can it help us to farm better? They are more interested in the value than the how flashy is the tech, you know. But anyway, for this will be for Rita. I want to hear your thoughts on this. But from your experience working close to implementation, right? What mistakes do founders make when introducing solutions to farmers? What mistakes do founders make when introducing solutions to farmers?
Like you said earlier on, adoption. I'm going to take it to adoption and bring it
Yes,
back to the
yes,
question.
yes, yes, yes.
So
Go on.
when, like you said, when we're building most founders when building agri-tech think that it ends in technology, and the people you are building it for, you have to merge both. You have to see them face to face and tell them, come and use my product. You're not building OPay, you're not building money points that you can
Yeah.
download, send money to someone and receive money. You're building a product that farmers themselves, like you said, before they will use it, they want to be sure that they're going to get value from it. And that is why
Mm,
a lot of them, so I will now come back to your question, which is my biggest challenge, the implementation side about it. So one of the things I noticed is that I went on field when I was in Nigeria. I went to because we
mm-hmm,
had a program we're building with doing with the Lagos State government in terms of cooperatives accessing providing funds finance to these farmers. So we are trying to bring them together and build farmers, bring them together, and also enable them to access these funds. So one of the challenges I saw was that when we invited these farmers over, most of them came because of CAC, CAC documentation.
Yeah.
And we're starting to realize that this trade is more informal than we thought. Because most of all these farmers, they don't even have the right documentation. And these are the farmers we want to onboard to use our platform. It wasn't even just about them not having access to tech, not them be able to use our tech products. It's about having the right documentation to access some certain things we are building for them. So if they don't have it, how can they access it? So Lagos State government said, okay, we bring farmers together and we would provide them with CAC, we'll provide them with CAC contacts. We would see how we can use our to leverage so they can have access to the financing. And most of all the farmers didn't have CAC. So when we were building our products, our core value was like, oh, it's a B2B. We expected that in our head, farmers should have access to the right documentation. So when we launched and we're now like farmers were registering, we're now discovering that most farmers couldn't pass the KYC stage because they didn't have the right document. So we couldn't like get them on our platform. So one of the mistakes a lot of in implementation
Fun.
stages ensuring that you are building for the right people. We are building for the right
Mhm.
people, but were we building what they actually have on ground? Are we able to get them into our platform with what they actually have on ground? We we didn't see that coming at all. So I called some farmers earlier this week and I was like, oh hi, I noticed you registered on our platform. What could be the reason that you're not trading yet? And then, oh, my CSC document. I thought you guys said that we're going to have you're gonna find us a way to provide provide provision of CSC documents. I'm like, oh my god. Then I had to go back and start drawing back to the books. I said, okay, this is a marketplace. If I am bringing too much compliance early, without them saying the actual value, do they actually even want to go get that CAC? No. So
Mm.
these are things that we had to sit down and had to start retweaking. Retweaking our technology to make sure that it accommodates the people we're actually building for. Okay,
Mm.
what are the things that we can see that, okay, first stage of KYC that we can allow them on come on our platform, onboard them, let them see the value of our platform, then we can now nudge them to go and get the right documentation to scale more than what they are actually scaling. Those are the things that we had to come back to like think about as founders and go back to our operations, go back to our tech, tweak our tech, and now those are the things that we're actually now changing on our system to ensure that we are not just building system for people that can't use it. So that it's you will say know your customers, but you don't really know your customers until when you actually launch that product. Trust me, because you think that,
Mm.
oh, I'm introducing a tech product. I've spoken to the farmers. I've gotten their pain points. If I'm able to build this technology, I'll be able to solve their problem. No, for farmers, it doesn't work that way. They will tell you to even go. They'll tell you to leave. You're not there. They don't. At the end of the day, they will find a buyer. They will go back to the middleman that is scamming them. As long as they're getting money, they are good. So they
Mm.
won't bother. They don't care if you're actually bringing value to them. They won't bother. So you have to know your customers. You have to ease your compliance level, not taking off your compliance level out of the market. No, you have to find a way that how can I bring them in that um, they will see the value. Once they see the value, they will now want to go further and deeper to understanding that, okay, I think maybe I need to have this right document for me to scale further than the way we are currently scaling. So those are things that I would say that for founders, for products people like myself, you need to like. That's why I said the word market, having your product early in the market, because you won't know that if you're just building and thinking that okay, this will work. But once you have that product early in the market and you're able to identify those gaps in like less than a week or 2 weeks of you launching those products, that is how you will scale as a founder.
Mm. Amazing. But it's interesting to hear that you talked about documentations. How people does not take documentations very serious. I think one of
No,
the key things I learned from you. A lot of
farmers
people does not they don't take this, especially farmers here. They don't take documentation serious. So even when you want to do finance, you want to raise fundings from a VC, some angel investors, from even for grants. Most times they ask you for your CAC. You know, have you registered with your CAC? Have you
Mhm.
registered for teams? So if you are listening to this podcast today, it's really essential to point that part that a lot of farmers do not take documentation serious. But as a farmer or as an agritech founder, generally, and you want to do well, you have bigger dreams, you must do your proper documentations because you don't know when you will need it. I mean, you don't know when the bigger opportunity will come that will arise and will require you for some of those tiny documentations like CS registration, your TIN number, just have them ready. I mean that's my take anyway from what you said. But moving on, there is there is um there is a popular belief that says funding solve problems. But my experience is that funding often expose problem that already exist. What's
Mm.
your take? I mean, for both of you, what do you guys think about funding? Does funding really solve problem or it exposes the problem that already exists in the organization?
For me, I'm gonna go. I
Yeah.
don't think coding actually solve
Yeah.
problem in a way. No,
Okay.
it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does in some aspects, but if you are not
Yes.
for an organization, especially
Mm-hmm.
for an agri-tech that is coming up, or
Yes.
an agri-tech organization, most of the time we think
Yes.
that funding is our problem entirely. Yes, funding is part of it because the people you are deploying on this field, the field, you have to pay them one way or the other. You need um you need field salespeople, you need field sales
Yes.
agents, you need
Yes.
the right people on the right ground. So
Yes.
most of the time when you get this funding and if you don't allocate it to the right positions, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't solve your problem. It takes you back to like, okay, I have spent 5 million naira already, or 100 million, or 10 million. I have done all the right things, but you've not actually done the right thing because you've not sat down to understand that what are the critical posts in my firm that I actually need now that will help me grow, that will help me scale. So what I've noticed is that most startups, when they get funding, immediately they start hiring this, hiring that, hiring this, hiring that, hiring this, changing their technology entirely from what it used to be, thinking that maybe
Yes.
more fancy technology, a more fancier technology, thinking that maybe they need to employ the people that are already with them. Oh, I don't think they're going to build that. They've never built me the right product. That's what they will start imagining. They've never built me the right product. Maybe I need a product that is more better than what I have. So, but those are not the right things or the right things to face when the right things to do when you get funding. The right things to do when you get
Yes.
funding is hiring the right people. What do we actually need to get my company to scale? If tech is your major problem, what is in tech? What find that loophole? It be, oh, you do not have the right front end designer, you do not have the right tech team. Find that loophole, resolve it there. Then go back to your customer. Do I need so many customer care people? No. You see some startup, they'll hire like 6, 7 customer care support officers. What do you need them for? You don't really need them at that moment. Then okay, you move to another department. Some of them will just go and hire BDMs, they'll hire this, hire that, and you're not thinking about the right positions. You're not thinking that, oh, and by the end of the day, the money has gone entirely to hiring. To be very honest, you think the hiring is cheap. It's not cheap. By the time you
It's not
hire
cheap.
like 10 people that are not giving you the worth of your company, trust me, your company, the fund and your company is going to go down the drain. So
I
funding,
agree.
funding is a good thing, but funding can also be a bad thing if you do not understand how to use the money.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sit down and understand how to use the money to scale your startup. What are the critical posts? What like my colleague said earlier on, he found out that he needed to go to the field to start speaking to those farmers. So meaning that he can't be the only one on the field. He needed to hire the right people. And when I mean hire the right people to also speak to those farmers. So that is where you say, okay, some allocation of my funding will go to. But if you say, no, I need to set up an office, I need to get these people in my office, hire this, hire that, maybe hire an HR team. Okay, the HR team start recruiting for people. All these kind of things, you actually don't need them when you get your funding. It's to ensure that you do the right thing with the money that will ensure that hire critical posts. And when I mean critical post, be sure that that is your critical post. Hire them, bring them on ground, and make them scale your product based on that funding. Don't do the happy hire. I call it the happy hire because I have money. I can just start recruiting people, bringing in my family members. Oh, my uncle calls and say my son needs a job immediately. You say, okay, I think I can get them a job because I have funding. It doesn't work that way. Your product is going to go down the drain. So that's my own aspect. It could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. And at the end of the day, it's a good thing, to be very honest, because all founders need money. We all need money to grow. But if you don't get the money and you're not using it the right way, trust me, you won't grow. And you would think money was the problem. Money was never the problem. And most founders that get into that level, they always think that money was the problem. They'll think that, oh, I didn't have enough money. $1 million will never be enough for them. $3 million will never be enough for them. They will always think that I didn't have the right money to grow, and they will continue looking for money and doing the same thing. So that's my own thought on funding.
Great, great. I mean, that's fantastic. There's a lot I can share on that. So when we talked about hiring, on just so this podcast Architect Partners that is being produced by Agritech Digest, which is like the primary the main company. So like this is the podcast is an arm of Agritech Digest. So Agritech Digest is the primary or is the organization that is hosting Agritech Partners that. So at Agritech Digest, when you talk about hiring, I think it's not just it's cut across all Agritech startup. Our biggest funding goes into hiring. So Agritech Digest, only Agritech Digest, our biggest funding has been on our hiring space. Like it's been so crazy, especially because even media, looking at how digitalized the world is becoming, so media is having a lot of challenges when it comes to funding. All right, so one of my biggest lessons in running Agritech Digest in the last few years is hiring. But I'm going to come back to hiring. I'm going to come back to hiring. I'm going to talk about hiring. So let me hear from Mr. Ifeanyi. What's your thoughts? Yes.
Sorry, when you asked the question, the network glitched. So can you just help me repeat the question? Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I was asking. A lot of people believe that funding solves problem, but I was saying that funding exposes it exposes your organizations. It exposes you. So what's your take? Do you agree that funding solves problems or it exposes the organizations?
Okay, I
I think your network
Yeah,
skip there. Yes, your network has skipped there. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I think there's a network glitches there.
can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
you're back now. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I went off there. Yeah, I said it does both. It solves problems and it also
Mm-hmm.
exposes the
Mm-hmm.
organization. It solves
Mm-hmm.
problem when you've been able. Like for me, I usually advise startup founders to bootstrap first,
Yeah.
use your own money, use your own resources, human resource, capital resource, to be able to understand the terrain of what you're building. Yes, you might not understand it totally, but at least you should be able to understand those basics, the foundation. Because if your aim is to build a skyscraper and then you are able to get $20 million, and instead of understanding the foundation that the skyscraper needs, you just start building the skyscraper, it will collapse. So the bootstrapping is usually where you do the work of understanding the depth of the foundation you need to build. So even if you don't have the finance to power it, you don't have access to that money, just start with whatever you have. For me, I'm not scared to approach people. I approach financial institutions not because I expect them to give me the money, but because I want to
Yes.
learn what they need. I approach partner companies. I approach anybody. I just want to learn. And when I learn, I use that to switch whatever I'm doing, strengthen my foundation. So I've heard a lot of founders who are successful. And one thing you understand, for example, somebody will see money points and then wake up tomorrow and start with fintech. It doesn't work like that. The guy has been working with switch. He has understood the
Yes.
foundations of finance. So you waking up and just starting your own and expecting to be as big as him when you don't have any foundation in fintech, you will crash. So for finance, yes, it can help you scale. It's very important. It can also help you crash. If you don't understand that foundation, be able to strengthen your foundation, finance will become a problem and a challenge for you. That's why you hear that a lot of founders they raised $2 million and they crashed. You'll be asking yourself, how come this kind
How?
of amount of money and they still crashed? It's because the foundation is not strong. They thought, like my colleague said, Elohosh said, you can get the finance and next thing you are hiring. Whereas your problem
Mm-hmm.
is not to hire. Your problem might be field work. Maybe if you are able to hire, it shouldn't be office people, it should be extension workers, people who can go to the field, but you're hiring people who will sit in the office. So understand the necessary things that you need before you are able to get that finance. Most of the time,
Mm.
people just want the money and then they just start to, beautify their office, very fine office, start going on retreats with their staff, showcasing lifestyle, telling you they went to London for this
True,
event,
true.
they went to France for this convention, and you've not met the people you are building the solution for. That should be your first place of channeling the finance. For example, in our space today, if we get any finance, the finance is going to the people we have created this solution for, not for us to fine tune our lives. It is for us to be able to add value to those people that we have built this solution for. Do you think that Money Point, sorry, I'm using the fintech because I've studied
Yeah.
him a while. Do you think that he's giving out loans to all these small businesses because he doesn't know what he will use those money for? But he's making sure his users are getting value. Those are his backbone, not the beauty. Nobody knew him before in terms of podcast and speaking about his business. He was in depth, working, making sure that he serves the people who need the solution. So for finance, even if you're able to be lucky to get it early, make sure your finance is channeled to the users of your solution, not to you, not to beautifying your office, not to hiring staff. Yes, except the staff is going to help to make sure that the users find value in what you've built. That is the only time you get staff, not because you want to say, oh, we've hired 20 staff, we've hired 15 staff, and we have, this and that, we go for it. No, no, no. The users are the most important people. So for me, it is both. It can make you or it can mar you. Whichever one depends on your foundation. But most times, bootstrap. Use your own resource, human resource, use your own capital, understand the foundation before external finance comes in.
Well, I agree, but I think for me the foundation of funding is first of all bootstrap. I completely agree with you, bootstrapping, because use your own money to learn first. Those people who raise funds and they crash are sometimes, I mean, they begin to they begin to fund their lifestyle, so to say. I think it's some of them, so to say, are character issues. You just it just expose who you are. That this is who you are. You really do not care. I mean, like we are seeing in the tech space today, they raise funds, and today, in fact, there's a word Deji used the last time. More like, I can't recall the word, but it was more like they're using it more like a scam. They want a company, they raise some millions of dollars, and at the end of the day, they're folding, and they say, oh, we are folded off already, and money is gone. And they use the money to 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 elevate their lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Instead of using the money to serve the people. We see it all over in the fintech, in the tech space generally. And it's not just Africa thing, it's even up in the US, right? Because as Agritech, that just what we do. Although most of our core focus around the investment space in agriculture, right? Yeah, but we see it happening in general because I am open to read beyond agricultural investment space, right? So first for me generally is bootstraps. Use your money. Second is use your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your uncle's money. If your family cannot believe in you, why do you want me to not believe in you now? Your
Then
family should believe in you first.
another thing most people do is they do not get to understand the important persons they need in their business.
Yeah, they don't
For
know.
Yes,
example,
yes,
when we
I
started
agree.
families, we understood that we needed a technical person. I am a business
Mm-hmm.
developer. I have technical knowledge in
Yes.
terms of software development, but I can't be there.
Yeah.
So I made sure that my co-founder is a technical person. So
Mm-hmm.
he has percentage share in the company. So he's not focused on salary or any money. So he's not a financial burden on the company. He's adding his own
Yes.
value. That's what most people do. They just wake up, I want to build an agri-tech solution, and then they immediately start hiring people. Why not
Yes.
bootstrap and look for co-founders, people who will be part of your company, who will not be financial stress on you? If we, like I said, if we get finance today, I'm not thinking of us as the company. I am thinking of the users
Yes.
because everything we have
Mm-hmm.
inside there. Even if I'm going to spend money on staff, it will be hiring extension workers that will help me in making sure that these farmers are reached and that they get value, not for us to beautify ourselves because that is not needed. So for a startup, find those people early and make sure, even if it's 5%, 2%, give them a share in your company. That way, it reduces your financial burden. Also,
Mm-hmm.
internship. If you're giving out value, people want to intern with you. People want to work for you
Yes.
for free or for
Yeah.
very little amount. But when money comes, problem becomes bigger, and you might lose your focus and just want to pump it out there and let everybody enjoy share of it.
I mean, there's a whole lot to discuss from what you've said now. So, but yeah, like I was saying quickly, bootstrapping your parents, your father, your brothers, they should be able to believe in you. I personally, when I was raising funds for I've been in the core agriculture, like farm. So it was first of all my school gave me school pond. So I wrote to them, use school pond. That's how I launched into agriculture, do catfish. And then my brother believed in me and was able to fund it then. The next I think is grant. We didn't talk about grant, but yeah, the next is I think is grants. Because grant is like me, I see grant is like the money used to test your ideas. Because but when you now talk about angel investor, VC, you have to pay back. That one is money you are going to work for. You know, I mean, those are the context I think people should put into when they're thinking about funding. Like, okay, where should I start from? Bootstrapping. Family is the next. Friends and well wishers. Then grants before you start talking about loan. I really loan is like the last for me anyway. But before you start talking about angel investors, VCs, loan, yeah. But that are like the starting point for me. Well, I know you guys have talked about hiring, right? What's your take about? I really want to get to this part. What's your take about? There's a saying that I've heard a lot of people saying, but I want to hear yours. So, what's your take about hire slowly and fire fast? I would like any other to start first because I mean there's another point that I want to add more for Ifrine. So, what's your take about hire fast? Sorry, hire slowly and fire fastly. I mean, there's a statement, there's a word like that in the business space.
Hire slowly and fire fastly.
Yes.
Hmm. I would say, yeah. What as a startup, what you're looking for is value at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Value in your business, value in your workforce, and value in what your products. So if you hire slowly, the first stage as a
Mm-hmm.
founder, as a startup, is that startups don't hire immediately. Like what is said, they get people, co-founders that knows this, co-founders that are expertise in this position, and get them to do the work. Then later on, they start hiring maybe one or two people that can support those co-founders to do the work. And in terms of tech, it works that way in tech because you can hire a CTO
Mm-hmm.
today. CTO won't build the entire product for you. You probably need a front end designer, you need another back end designer, and you need this, you need that, maybe two or three other staff together. So that is not hiring slowly. The hiring slowly now comes when you now launch your product. You now realize that okay, these co-founders, most of them maybe they're actually using their other jobs, and you need someone that can be a full-time employee with you. That is where the hiring slowly comes in because you've had this product, you've been cooking it, you didn't hire these people, but you hired them when you think that okay, they can move momentum for you. You bring them into the business. But when you bring them into the business, this is where you fire them very fast. Then you give them time to understand your business. Maybe you give them like a month, or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, understand the business and you expect growth. Maybe not growth in terms of millions, growth in terms of how they are selling your products out there, growth in terms of how they understand the products. That is where the first performance target comes from. Not, oh, go and bring in, I've learned today and I expect you to bring 5 million tomorrow. No, it's basically based growth on, do you understand what Cube Seed is all about? Can you preach Cube Seed? Can you be in the room and when people are talking about Cube Seed, you're able to like, okay, come and register on this platform, help them from beginning to the end. And that is where the second part of performance target will now come in. And if you get to that, if you hire people that cannot speak your name after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they are still coming back to ask you some questions and you're surprised. And like, why are you asking me those questions? You should be able to answer those questions by now. Then you realize that you've hired the wrong people. Then you now have to hire fastly. You've given them time to grow. You've given them 1 month. You've given probably 2 months for them to understand your business. Because as a startup, you're moving fast. You're not moving at the pace of other companies. Anybody you're hiring, no matter how long it took you to hire that person has at least 2 to 3 weeks to understand, to understand your product, to be able to ensure that they are able to provide value in that position. And when you're not providing value in that position, like you said, we are using our money at first, we are bootstrapping. If I'm using my money to pay you and I'm not getting value, how am I sure when I get the seed funding, I will not just be keeping you out of empathy because I have money to continue paying you? So, as a startup, there is empathy and there is non-empathy. Empathy comes from me giving you time to grow. Non-empathy comes from me, I've given you that time to grow, but you're not getting there. And you're now making my company, you're providing slow progress to my company. My company is moving slowly because you're not able to adapt easily. And that's where that's where it comes into fire fastly. So it's very important that you ensure that you have the right people. Having the Even if you have the right people, they have to work in your mission. They have to work in your vision. If they're not working in your mission and your vision, trust me, your company is already failing. So I would not say firing fastly can be very emotional, can be very triggering for people. But at the end of the day, we as startups, we need to realize that being empathetic in this particular aspect can bring your business down, and you do not need that. So I give people room to learn. I give you 1 month, maybe 3 weeks, 1 month for you to adapt. And that is because I've already brought out my product out there. You are like the people that I kept, and I'll call them the people that I hired slowly. But when
So
you're not exactly, and to me, I think it's a win-win position at the end of the day, to be very honest.
that means 3 months to 6 months for you, based on what you said. Now 3 months to 6 months is too short for you. If the person not delivering 1 month, 3 weeks, you're out. Or you think 3 months to 6 months is fair? Or what do you think?
I'm going to use an example. I'm going to use an example. So when one of the
Okay,
things we did
that's
when
fine.
we launched was we hired a few customer representatives, and that's one of the mistakes you learn as a founder, hiring the right people.
Mhm.
And one of the mistakes I've actually learned. We hired a few customer representatives, and we told them what we explained to them. We did the training, what keeps it does, and what is expected from them. What's expected from them is to talk to our users, the farmers, the bulk buyers, and onboard them. Then you expect you call in a meeting and someone tells you that, sorry, my battery is low. I know it's a Nigerian thing, to be very honest. I'm not trying to say, I understand the electricity situation, but I think we've gone past that stage where electricity should be used as a reason not to do your job. Oh, my battery is low. I might not be able to join this meeting because something is this, something is that. Then they come back to question and they ask you that, oh, we found a buyer and the buyer was asking how do they register on CubeSeed, or how do we onboard them on CubeSeed, or the buyer is telling me that he wants to. purchase this livestock produce? Do we have it on QC? Or so many questions that you expect that, okay, at the end of 1 month, these people are supposed to understand your business. If they don't understand your business in 1 month, you've done the right training, you've done everything. When do they want to understand your business? Is it at 3 months? Is it at 6 months? Is it at 1 year? So that's why we now have empathetic hiring, because you are keeping people that are not going to take you to the next position. They are not going to give you the right value for your business. You can say you want to keep them because you're I'm trying to ensure that they have a job. But what happens to your business? So those are things that I get. So that's why I said sometimes it could be empathetic and sometimes it could be non-empathetic as founders. But I don't blame founders that wake up one morning and they fire people, to be very honest. Because if I'm using my money to drive a business and I'm not getting the value based on the business, based on the staff that I hired, then why should I keep you? So I don't blame them, to be very honest. But so I get the logic, and if it works for your business, let it work. If it doesn't work, it's fine, depending on who you hire and how you hire.
Mm. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for those thoughts. But a question to Mr. Ifeanyi will be same on hiring. But you talked about giving shares from your company. I believe that a lot of people somehow they don't understand other system as how it works. What's the right shares do I need to give to someone because I can't pay you? I mean, let's say I've been building this company for like 2 years, and you want to come in, I can't pay you. What's the right amount of shares? So at the end of the day, when we make it, I don't know. So I mean, the person is also shooting himself on his leg because he was giving out shares. And you talk about 5%, 2%. So what's the right numbers of shares to give? I mean, generally, what's the right way to go about giving out shares in terms of hiring to your people? Yeah.
Okay. Anything concerning share,
Yes.
your company, the founder's share should never go below 51, no matter what happens, except when you are now scaling. That is when you've expanded your share capital. But at that
Mhm.
beginning stage, it's just 1 million shares for a
Yeah.
limited liability. So it shouldn't exceed 51% at that early stage. If not, once it exceeds it, and you don't have, because there are a lot of agreements you need to have that can be able to control your business, your founders agreement, shareholders agreement. There are a lot of agreements that are tied to this, and most people don't know. Most people feel that, oh, once I open the company and I have my statutory rights and I have my memo, I'm okay. But no, you have to have your founders agreement, exit clauses. All those things have to be in place so that if somebody wakes up tomorrow and decides that, oh, I want to sell my share as a founder, the person will have to relate back to the founders agreement and the shareholders agreement. And those clauses will be able to protect you. It depends on how you founded the company. Is it a solo founding? Is it a partner founding? Is it a group founding? You have to understand that to be able to know how to allocate these shares. And then when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to hiring with
Yeah.
shares, you must make sure that the people that you are hiring with shares are people that are very instrumental to the growth of the company. For example, you can't give share to a content creator, a social media manager. Those people you can find a better person tomorrow. You can give share to a technical partner, knowing that tomorrow you would not want to start running around, because I've seen people who created a tech solution and the tech company that created this solution for them messed them up along the way because they are not part of the company. All they know is they are raising money for their own business. So they can wake up tomorrow and tell you maintenance fee is 2 million naira and you don't have that money. You start running around. But if you have a technical person in-house, it reduces that problem. So there are people whom you can give shares, like business dev- the business developer can have shares. Your legal, if you want, depending on who your legal is, depending on the kind of business you're doing, if you know the business you're doing needs a lot of compliance, a lot of certification, a lot of regulation and all that, you should have a legal person as part of your founding partner. Some you should have a share. That person it might not be a person, it can be a company. Because personally for me, what I do is I make sure that people who are instrumental to the growth of what we are building, I give them offer for payment, and I also give them offer for percentage share. So, like I
Mm.
said, legal, it depends on the kind of business. If you're into regulation, compliance, all those kind of things, a legal person, you should look for who you would have in your side that you can have as a partner. That person knows that, okay, I can't be billing this company because I have share. If the company grows, I make money. If the company fails, I also fail. So that way you are
Mm.
protected. Technical partner is somebody, again, you can give share, because the technical partner tomorrow, if he's not in your company and if he's not a reasonable person, he can mess you up and destroy everything that you have built. Your business partners, that's in terms of the business developer, you can also hire depending on the kind of business you're doing, or you can give share. But anything concerning share, make sure that everybody is playing a role. Like I've seen some company, two business developers, no technical person. That does not work. No, you make sure, like me, I'm not looking for a business development person as part of my team. I can't give any business developer a share in my company. I'm already occupying that position. I
Yeah.
can't give a technical person a share in my company. My co-founder is already holding that position. I can't give anybody legal share. I have my lawyer who is already handling that. So you see that in my company right now, the only person who has access to share is an investor. Every other
Yeah.
person, what I do is I strike contractual agreements with them. That is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you are very, very important and very key, I give you very little share. If you are okay with it, we work. If not, we discuss a contract terms, agreements on how much I will pay for that service that you are about to offer. So on the issue of hiring slow and firing fast, my mentor
Yes.
will say you hire smart people to tell you what to do. You don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. So that is why for a startup, you take your time. If when we are talking about finance, we talked about how if
Mm.
you get finance, you rush in hiring people because you feel you have the money. No, you take your time. Who is important to the growth of this company? I don't just
Oh, we lost you there. I think
Yeah,
your network.
are you still there?
I mean, it's been a very fantastic conversation, and there's so much to still discuss. Okay, while we begin to wrap up today's session, I'm just waiting to see if you can still join us back again. But while we begin to wrap up today's session, um, hello, you wanna
sorry.
run us through? Okay,
Can you hear me now?
yes, we
Yeah,
can hear
yeah.
you now. You're back again now.
Sorry, my apologies. I think it's network. My apologies.
Yeah, okay,
So, like I
that's
said,
fine.
when I needed a content person, I looked
Yes.
around, who can I hire at an affordable rate? And I saw a family member who could do that at the time. And I gave the person some little amount because I know that is a contract agreement. I don't need a permanent person. What I just have is to have an agreement on contract with the person, 6 months, 1 year, and then see the deliverables from that person. If the person is not delivering, off you go. I look for another person. So that is the concept of hiring slow and firing fast, because you know that these people are just, support. They are not technical to your business. If they leave, nothing will happen. You have a lot of them. So if I hire you, I'm hiring you based on value, not by emotions. Even the person who is my family person that I hired the person because of value. I've seen the work. I've been doing a lot of work, but I made sure that I have seen the person's work for a period of time. And the person gave me deliverables. And that's how we got to work. And if tomorrow the person is not giving me what I want, off you go. Another person comes in. So hiring slow and firing fast is the concept of making sure you take your time to know who is important so that you get the right people. Don't rush. And then when you get them and you tell them your mission and your vision, they give you their deliverables because, like I said, you don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. You hire them to tell you what to do. So my own is to tell you my mission and my vision, explain my company to you, just like Ms. Eloho said. I'll let you know what the company is about. But then you will start giving me strategy. If you cannot create strategy, if I'm going to be doing your work and telling you how to strategize, then you are not important to me. Off you
Exactly.
go. Find another.
Exactly.
So I will not
That's
hire you to start telling you this is how to do your work and this is how to do your work. Mine is to tell you our mission, tell you our vision, and tell you what I want to achieve. That's all. Integrate you into the company, make you feel comfortable, but you have to give me ideas, not me giving you idea on how to. I'm giving you idea, I can do your work. I don't need you.
exactly.
So my concept of hiring slow and firing fast, and also, like I said, in terms of share, make sure it is instrumental people who you know that if this person is not in your company, it will either cost you so much to have them or they can mess up your business the next day. And there are
Ah,
very few legal, technical, and business. And even business is not so important. The reason why me as a business person have share in my company is because I am the owner. If I'm not the owner, I'm sure
yeah.
somebody will just hire me, pay me. But you see technical and you see legal, very people are they are very, very important. And then your
Mm.
investors are the only people who have access to your shares.
I mean, this has been a very fantastic conversation. There's still a lot for us to cover, and I wish we can have another episode on to have both of you again to join us again. I mean, this was really, really fantastic conversations today. But you see, a lot of agritech companies, some of the things we're discussing today, a lot of agritech companies, they don't understand hiring, they don't understand fundraising, they don't understand, unlike the fintech space or the edtech space, they don't understand this concept of proper business structuring or bidding systems. And that's why some of these conversations we are having today, they are really important. I hope you listen to this podcast. I hope you take some lessons from today's podcast and be able to implement them in your own organization. But before we finally go, in 1 minute each, what's a lesson that you took to learn that took you years to learn, but could save founders years of mistakes if they were to learn it earlier, based on your experience? Any one of you can go.
Okay, based on my experience, one thing I have learned
Yes,
is
yeah, that took you years to learn, but you know if it can save founders years of mistakes if they've learned it earlier.
yes. One thing is
Mhm.
partnership, collaboration.
Okay.
In the aggregate space, unfortunately, everybody wants to be the boss.
Mhm.
When I started off, I was wanting to, run everything on my own. But at the point when I started exploring collaborations and partnerships, it started becoming easier for me because now
Mhm.
I am not doing the work all alone. I am now leveraging on other people who have also built structure in their businesses to assist me. Like for me, I am, like I said, I'm the business developer of my business. I'm the one who is cracking the brain. But collaborations in the sense that most people have the idea, they don't have the finance. Instead of attaching themselves to somebody who have this finance and partner with such a person, they just want to do it alone. And by the time they suffer for a very long time, they either fold up or they end up doing the same thing. And sometimes they end up doing it wrongly. So as early as you can start, just start, look for ways to collaborate with people, be open, don't hide your ideas, don't hide anything and say I'm waiting for the perfect moment. Be free, share your ideas, share that idea that you have burning in you, and let people partner with you. Those who want to partner and those who don't want to partner, let them go. Just start early and adopt collaboration. Start very early.
Mm. Thank you very much for that. So yes, over to you.
Good structure. Take
Yeah.
structure from day one.
I completely agree with you on that.
So for me, like he has said, I'm going to pick one of the things he has said, and I'm going to add an additional one. Partnership. Partnership is very important when you're trying to scale as a founder. You cannot do everything yourself. Agritech is a very big space, and there are so many businesses, there are so many people, there are so many companies that can help you grow without you having to do those things yourself. You don't need to build those products. You can easily embed into a company that's already giving that product. So partnership is very important in agri-tech. Like for agri-tech, we have people that are doing this, the solar system, the refrigerator system, the processor, building processor plants. Then why do you want to own a processor plant when you can easily integrate with those people? So if as founders, you do not need to like, as agri-tech founders, pick a niche and grow within that niche, then scale. That's the most important thing. Use partnerships to scale. So for us, the Lagos State project we currently did and brought in an avenue for us to come to get in more farmers, to understand farmers better, to work with cooperative, from cooperative to farmers, to understand how the business run. Even if my founder is a farmer himself, he started understanding in depth because of the partnership. So these are things that will help your business scale as a founder on time. Partnership, very, very important. Don't think that you can build the embedded financing yourself. There are so many financing companies that are willing to embed their APIs, embed their systems into your system to give out these finances to farmers, to give out these finances to use your bulk users, your bulk buyers, your restaurants, your hotels, the other business operators in your company. So don't think that you want to like, oh, I must be the one to raise money to give out this funding. It doesn't work that way. So those are things that, like you said, explore partnership. It's going to help the business grow. The second one is, like I said, understand your market, know your customers. Most founders start without thinking that tech is going to help them scale. But the truth that tech will only scale when there is value. And for you to get that value, you have to know your customers, understand what they want. So for agri-tech, like I was telling some of our staff the last 2 weeks, sorry, a few days ago, and I told them that I've come to realize that dealing with these farmers, agricultural products in terms of tech is more than self-serve. You can't build products and expect farmers to be able to do things themselves. No, we are not saying farmers are not technology inclined. We are not saying we are building products for people that cannot use technology. However, there's still the informal trade that is still in that system. Because of that, it is not fully self-served yet. So you have to be there, understand the market, understand your users, understand these people. What can I do to go back home and tweak my product that will now create value for them to use it? So as founders, those are two things you always need to do. Explore partnerships. Partnership will help your business grow. No way, no doubt. Exploring the right partnership will help your business grow. Secondly, understanding your customers early. Don't build a product and just throw it out there. Understand them early and be ready to tweak based on what you are getting back. Market intelligence, very, very important. And the last one, we've always spoken about the right hiring. If you don't need to hire people now, do not hire them. If you can do the work yourself, do it yourself. And when it comes to that stage where you cannot hire people to do the work for you, it will make your life easier because you already understand the pain points on how to like grow within that role. So yeah, that's all for now for me.
All right, fantastic. Before we finally go, I want you guys to take in one sentence, tell us what your company do. Just in one sentence, what does your company do? So that people who are listening can, yeah.
Okay. What our company does is for farm easy, farm management, farm market. It helps you take proper records of your activities on your farm, and it gives you access to our e-commerce platform where you can showcase your product and have buyers reach you directly. For IFES Global Solutions, IFES Global Agri Solutions, we're into business consulting, business development, farm setup and management, equipment procurement, and machinery procurement. That's what we are into, business structuring. So IFES, once you remember IFES Global Agri Solutions, remember business structuring and consulting setup. When you remember Farm Easy, remember Farm Records and e-market, e-commerce.
Fantastic. That's
Okay.
amazing. Okay.
So what does CubeSeed does? CubeSeed is an agri-tech solution. It's currently we have a marketplace which we just currently launched. The marketplace is connecting buyers and bulk buyers and farmers together. What we are doing is providing a structure, a system where farmers can have direct access to bulk buyers and bulk buyers can have access to farmers. However, there is a gap. The gap is ensuring that this access is providing fulfillment in terms of market fulfillment. For bulk buyers, you will once you make your payment, farmers will not have access to that fund until fulfillment has been delivered. And for farmers, they won't have the access to that fund until they deliver the product. So we are building a system of trust where these two parties can trust each other and also not just trust each other, provide an avenue where production is going to be easier for both the farmer and sourcing is going to be easier for the bulk buyers. So we also have other programs we are doing. One of them is the one with the Lagos State government. It's a cluster management program where we have farmers that are going to produce and they are going to produce in clusters. And the government is going to provide them the financing, the input financing, everything they will need to produce, make those production. And we as CubeSaid, we are going to bring the off-takers to uptake those produce and take it to the market. So at the end of the day, we are still solving that issue in terms of production, having access for farmers having access to buyers and having access for people to uptake their produce. That is what CubeSeed is all about.
Fantastic. I mean, thank you guys for your time so far today. One of the reasons uh, why we wanted episode 50 to be live is because this podcast has always been about community. So if you are joining us live, stay engaged in the chat. We'd love to hear your questions, thoughts, and reflect as we celebrate these milestones together. It's on this note we bring today's podcast to an end. Um, Today we are bringing this podcast to an end. I want to thank our guest for taking our time to join us in the studio today and for sharing your insights with us. Today's conversation will reinforce a lessons we've repeatedly heard over the last 50 episodes. Agriculture is not simply about innovations, it's about executions, it's about trust, it's about understanding people, it's about building systems that create lasting values. Episode 50 is not finishing, it's not the finish line for us at all. It's the beginning of the next chapter. We are exploring founders on table life industry conversations, deeper ecosystem coverage, strategic partnership, and new ways to connect builders across Africa agricultural ecosystem. Our mission remains the same, helping founders learn faster, connecting better, and building stronger businesses. To our guests, once again, I want to say thank you for sharing your insights. To everyone joining us live, thank you for being part of today's conversations. Thank you for contributing to this first 50 conversations. Thank you for taking the journey, for making this journey possible for us. This conversation was supported by the Agritech Investors Group, a private community where the Agritech founders and investors exchange practical insight on building and scaling agricultural innovations across Africa. If you'd like to join the future conversation or be featured in the podcast, fill out the guest content intent form linked in the podcast description somewhere around. You'll definitely find it there. Once again, I'm your host Kenneth Obayuana, and thank you for being part of this journey for us. We are happy the conversation just begin. Thank you all thank you all. Thanks to our guests once again for taking our time to share your insight with us. We appreciate you. It's on this end we call it a day. Bye
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.